Hello, and welcome back to the rig breakdown series, where we break down the rigs, some of them at least, that I've made, have a look at all the components, how they're set up, what's the thought behind them, etc. And today we're looking at one of the Lego models. This model is by DK. It's on grabcat.com, and he has many models, almost 400, and these are of excellent quality. And to learn rigging or to just play around, practice rigging, practice the mechanical parts of it, these models are simply excellent. So do yourself a favor if you want to just play around and try some stuff, grab some of his models and have fun with it. They're very, very high quality. All the pivot points are nicely set up, etc. And they're just fun to work with, obviously. So if we're looking at this Lego Combine here, let's divide it into a few segments. We've got the arm that pops out, this one here. We have the header that rotates and moves up and down, and we have the steering going on as well here. So if we look at the steering first, let's isolate that, or let's hide the static parts. I usually put these in a separate layer. So here are all the parts that are animated. Let's unhide the helpers, the shapes, etc., all that good stuff. This is what we're going to work with, but let's focus on the first bit here, which is the steering. Let's make sure we grab everything from here. There you go, and we might need that slider as well. So this is the steering setup. Simple setup. Basically, we have some wire parameters. This one rotates. The trick here is to rotate perhaps not directly the one that you as a user or as somebody who plays with the model would rotate with your hands to steer the model, but rather to make the whole thing simple, I've given this one, this orange cross here, the same orientation constraint as the red helper has. So if you rotate the helper, this one rotates basically in the same manner, which you can see. I think this is animated. Yeah, let's just delete that for now. So if we rotate this by hand, we can't, let's link to this one, then we need this one to rotate that. There you go. So this one rotates, this one has the same rotation. Green point is linked to this one. This one has an orientation, a position constraint, which is linked to this cross. So that one will move but not rotate. And you can see that if we scrub this one, it will not rotate, just move around a little bit. So the horizontal movement of this one is linked to this one with the wire parameters. So as much as this one moves left to right, I'm not sure if I can move it. No, it's all linked to the slider. As much as this one moves left and right, this one rotates. Obviously, that's something that you have to figure out what the numbers are related to that. So if you move this one by an X amount, then this one will need to rotate by a corresponding amount as well. That's something that you'll need to figure out a little bit. You can do that by the amount of teeth on this gear rack and the small teeth here, and then have a calculation for that. Won't go into those details, you can look that up online, but that's basically the setup that I've done for this rig. Fairly straightforward. The slider that you saw here, that just helps with setting up the minimum and maximum of the animation. If your rig is done, you can link it to these sort of slider elements. You can find them here under, where are they? Helpers, manipulators, slider. So you add one of these sliders, and you what you do is you right click. Let's say you want to animate this one with the slider. You choose wire parameters, and then let's say the Z rotation, this one, and you link it to that one, and you say object and value. Obviously there's a bit of a formula that you can add to it to reduce the amount of turns needed, etc. You can also set here, if you unselect this one, you can set the minimum and the maximum. You can put it back to 0. You can play with the values here. You can animate those, etc. A very nice setup, especially when your rig is finished. You do need to click this one to select and manipulate. Otherwise, you will not be able to move that slider around. So click this one and you can manipulate it. So it's a fairly straightforward setup. But yeah, it works, and that's basically the part one, the steering done. If we then look at the header, let's unhide the rest. Let's look at the header. That is the second setup that we'll be looking at. This consists out of two components. You have two red dummies here that are animated. One takes care of the up and down of the header, and the other one takes care of the rotation of those blades on the header. For this one, simple wire parameter setup. You have a bunch of gears here. One to another 90-degree turn. You've got here a universal joint. This comes into play when the header is tilted up or downwards. Then another couple of gears, even some more gears over here. Very straightforward, simple gear reductions, and there you go. Rotate that and you can see the blades moving. Now this one is influencing the whole thing. So if you rotate this one, it will go up and down. So what you have here is you have your main component. This rotates, has a gear, gets transferred into a horizontal gear. Worm wheel reduction onto this one. This is linked to these arms, so that's why you have these bones here in play. That just swivels back and forth. So if you animate these, you can see them tilt back and forth. And that tilts the whole header along with obviously the universal joint that we have here. So even though it's tilted in an upward position, let's put it even more. And then if we rotate this one, you can see that the universal joint still works. It's not a perfect rig, as you can see here. Those gears interfere with each other once they are rotated upwards. So if we rotate this back down, it kind of fits. Let's see, roughly like this. It should fit a little bit better. It's not a perfect rig, it's not a final rig as well. It's just a play around that I've used just to try some techniques, etc. So here you can see it fits a little bit better, still intersects a little bit, but yeah, it lacks the fine tuning that you would need. But just as a proof of concept, this could work. Then the last but not least, we have the header, and this was the biggest one for me at least. Oh, sorry, not the header, the arm. And this was the biggest one for me to figure out. This took me the longest because this arm rotates in a slightly odd manner. It rotates on an angled position around this blue part here, as you can see. And this arm here, although it doesn't stretch, it does rotate. And with just a normal bone setup, I couldn't get this to work because it just wouldn't rotate in the proper way. So what I came up with is using spline IK, and I drew the actual arc that is described around, maybe if I unhide this one and this one, and which one, this one influences it. Right, so if I rotate this, you can see that this dark little joint describes the path of this shape here perfectly. So that's something that I wanted to happen. So I drew the shape, I drew the bones that go with it. Let's just hide the rest. Drew the bones that go with it. You have those control boxes. They're not really needed at this point. You can see that this one is attached to the spline and it kind of deforms when we move these this arm around. See, this spline here is not fully straight, but it doesn't matter because it pushes this bone along this arc, and this arc is all what matters to describe the movement. You can see here a couple other bones, simple IK setup as well. Again, it's not so much per se the setup which is difficult. It's figuring out how it works and having a look at the whole system and figuring out how to do the setup so that everything works as it should. Wire parameters, worm gear, gear reduction, bunch of bones, and then here is the final workings of the whole thing with the spline IK, and that was kind of the eureka moment figuring this one out. So don't be afraid to use spline IKs in slightly different settings than what you've seen it used for in the piston tutorial. You can really do nice things with these spline IKs. Also here, as you can see, angled rotation, not an issue, and this one rotates the bone, rotates flawlessly with that. And as you can see, it's just linked. This one is just linked directly to that bone, this piece of geometry, and the way that it moves is just realistic. Is very, very nice. So give that a try, play around a little bit with those spline IKs, I would say. But definitely have a look at these models from DK. I have a bunch of them downloaded. You can convert step files in 3ds Max nowadays. And they're just fantastic to play with. Really, really nice models. Lots of fun time and lots of opportunity to practice simple things like bone setups, spline IKs, worm gears, anything that you want, and is also described in the tutorials here. So go and have a look, and most of all, go and have fun.